Friends, again, I welcome on behalf of our Vice President, Dr. Wai-Ching Wong, and my colleagues, uh, Viveka and others. I welcome all of you to this webinar. This is a series on Towards a Caring Campus. So we take efforts and facilitate the institutions towards a caring campus. The whole person education is our focus, and United Board's vision is committed to whole person education. That means intellectual, spiritual, and ethical growth of young people. And the great ministry which all of us have, all the faculty we all have, is that to sharpen the minds of young people and shape their character. It's not only sharpening the young minds, and more than that, we also shape their character. And well-being, mental well-being is important. Unexpected things happen in everybody's life, and unexpected things always happen. When that happens, that might affect our wellness, which might result in our performance. Say students are excited to come back now. Some of the countries are open now, like India, we have in-person classes. 100% students are on campus. They are very excited to come back. But at the same time, they also face a lot of challenges because 2 years they were in a different lifestyle. And all of a sudden now they come into the classroom and attend the in-person classes. So these challenges might affect their academic performance. So this whole series of webinars, we want to raise an awareness of mental wellness of students, not only students, faculty, administrators, and in preparing for the campus reopening, especially for the face-to-face classes. And today we have two panelists, Ms. Jenny Ko from Lingnan University, and Jenny Ko is the Director of Student Affairs at Lingnan University, Hong Kong. She oversees the Office of Student Affairs for the provision of support and service to students. In order to support the whole person development of students, she manages a team of administrative and professional staff, including clinical psychologists and counselors, to ensure effective planning and delivery of a comprehensive range of wellness and counseling programs. She attained her MBA in U.S.A. and Masters in IT from Australia. Prior to Lingnan, she had held various senior positions in other institutions in training and education field. So it's a great joy for us to have Ms. Jenny Ko with us this morning. The other panelist is from India, Dr. Zarina. She's a senior faculty in the Department of Psychology at Women's Christian College. And she has previously been the student counselor at Women's Christian College, Chennai, India. She has a PhD in psychology and also has 16 years of teaching and 21 years of counseling experience. She has conducted workshops on personality development and taught subjects in psychology and life skills. She has also served as a resource person for person-to-person Center for Christian Counseling in India and also to United Board programs. She is passionate in working with youth and children and enjoys spending time with her family. So we are very happy to have both of you in our midst. So while I'll be the moderator, I'll moderate this panel. To begin with, say the 2 years have been very, very challenging years for academic institutions. And academic institutions face several challenges and so much of complexity, so much of anxiety. And with all that, we are marching forward and we are doing our job and our work, our vocation. So first, let me put a question to the panelists that what are the practices you have? And what do you think that in the past 2 years, your institution, what you have, your initiatives in your institutions were very effective? What do you think that the initiatives of your institution helped your faculty, helped your students, or helped your administrators? In what are the ways you have taken efforts to strengthen the mental wellness of students and faculty? So let me start with Jenny Ko, that she can share your experience at Lingnan University and also share the best practices and the practices which you feel that were very effective during these times. So you can share with our participants. Over to Jenny.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Spurgeons, for the nice introductions. I'm delighted to be here today to share with Great Minds. Unfortunately, Nelly cannot join us today, but I'm sure Serena is a very professional clinical psychologist. And I have with me today my colleagues, Dr. Gloria Wong as well. Later on, if needed, she can jump in to help me on some technical question, because I'm not a counselor, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I may have, she may be able to help on some technical questions. So actually during the pandemic, the number of students, populations on our Ningnan campus has been decreased due to various reasons. Because in Hong Kong, we had experienced months of closed campus. And some of our students actually went back home to their hometowns when our online learning was announced. Although they are not around, but we could not provide face-to-face counseling sessions to them. But we understand they also need mental health supports. So because of students, they have pressures from the study mode of changes and examinations, pressure from the pandemic, family health, and lack of the opportunities to enjoy the campus life as usual, meet their friends. So in early 2019, we noticed the number of cases, hours has been dropping, because in Hong Kong, we had been experiencing a couple of challenging years. The social unrest in 2019, and then follow on with the pandemic in 2020. So we noticed on these changes, and we started to create alternate solution to engage students in different ways, hoping to offer more supports to enhance their well-being. We modified our step care model. The step care model is our staff actually categorize student cases into 3 levels. And we started to offer hybrid mode of support to our students, both synchronous support like live and real-time interaction by phone call if they cannot come back to the campus, or by Zoom. And we offer asynchronous online support, such as email, e-cards, online program, etc. And besides of these one-on-one sessions, online, offline, or hybrid, we started to focus ourselves in providing programs and activities from the prevention angles. Start to engage our students in different ways to enhance their well-being. In 2020, we are very lucky. We have successfully received some government grant. We applied for government grant on the COVID-19 funding, and we began to set up our own online platform. We call it a wellness hotspot, to facilitate the offering of online programs and activities via our own 3 channels, with the aim, prevention is the primary aim of offering such programming activities. The first channel under our wellness hotspot is the Living Well Academy. It is a place where students get taught and inspired on sustainable wellness, how to cope with adversity, and how to unleash their personal potential. The Academy organizes wellness classes and workshops, seminars, and make use of the social media to share wellness information to enhance holistic well-being in the Ningnan community. With the Academy, we trained up a group of peer counselors. Besides of receiving knowledge themselves, they are students, they got to share what they learned to others and to the community. The second channel is the wellness buffet. It's not a buffet that we get to eat, but then students get to choose from a variety of dishes, we call it activities, like some at-home workout. If they cannot come to the campus, they can do workout at home, podcasting, some video sharing, community resources that can help them, and some wellness articles and messages. And the third channels that we have in our wellness hotspot is our wellness activities and program. We actually conducted an online yoga program, virtual running, that kind of programs for students to keep themselves fitness physically and mentally during the pandemic. By offering this type of hybrid, we call it wellness hybrid wellness bundle program at Ningnan, some with face-to-face, some with online, some with the via our wellness hotspot. We hope to offer a transformational process to engage our students and walk through challenges with them and prepare them to transform into a well-prepared graduate during this difficult time and ready to contribute to the society. I think that's some of the practice that we use in Ningnan, and hopefully it's helpful to everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. So thank you, Jenny. Also, she has brought another colleague of her, Dr. Gloria Wong. Yes. So she will answer some of her questions at the later stage. Welcome, Dr. Gloria. And now I invite Dr. Zarina to share her experiences.
Yeah, good day to all of you. I bring greetings from Women's Christian College, India. It is such an honor to be part of this series on towards a caring campus. I'm glad to be joining with Jenny. It was wonderful to hear what your university has been doing for the students. I would like to give my condolences to Nelly with a brief meeting that I had with her yesterday. It was really a shock, and my prayers to her and her family. So the COVID pandemic has taken us into a very different way of living these past 2 years, and the new normal, as we call it, I wonder if we will ever get normalized. We will ever get adjusted to it. And so was the scenario in college campus too. So right after the first COVID lockdown in our country, which was in March 2020, by June, our college principal, Dr. Lillian, started hearing of the problems that students were going through at their home, even before online classes had started. And so very proactively, she took the step to initiate telephone counseling services. For students, it started off initially for students of our college, both we have our shift 1 and shift 2, and for all students on campus. And later, it was extended to faculty, to non-teaching staff, and then since the need was felt among the community, to the community at large too. She approached us, the Department of Psychology, and encouraged us to start the vision that she had to begin this telephone counseling services. And our department has been having our student counseling center on campus for a number of years. A wide variety of programs have been offered to students, right from individual counseling to group counseling programs, the preventive programs that are very important, like building resilience among students and so on, and other life skills, and the other issues that they go through either as individuals or as a group. Personality development programs would again be a highlight. And we also have a center, another initiative of the Department of Psychology, NALM, which offers psychological counseling services to the community. Now, the need during the COVID period was large, and therefore we decided to bring in a team. So the team of finally that we came up with was a team of 9 members, beginning with faculty of our department. I was blessed to be one among them, and research scholars of our department who were also trained to be counselors, and then very enthusiastic alumni of our college who decided to pitch in. And this was all free of cost. And we started to put together this program on telephone counseling services for the students of our campus. Now, we had to get this message across to the community, the college community. The students had to be aware that such a program is about to happen. And so what we decided to do is, with the help of the Dean of Student Services of our college, we organized webinars. It was a 1-hour webinar for a period of 10 days for groups of students, because about 2,000 and odd students had to be reached, in order to give them this information on the telephone counseling services that were about to be initiated. And while this program was being developed, we decided to give them some tools that they could use even at home for them to handle the mental health concerns that they were going through. Now, so the awareness proved to be very helpful, we realized. So one of the highlights of that webinar was helping them to look at challenges, crisis, not just as difficult times in our lives, but challenges for us to grow. So building resilience was one of the highlights. And then we also introduced to our students how they could speak to us, the ways in which the method, which would be that they first approach us by emailing. So the information about the 9 faculty and research scholars was given to them through the Dean of Student Services. And we also gave them the steps that they should follow in order to reach out to us. And this awareness program proved to be very effective. It was because the feedback that was taken after that, where students said that 46% of them said this awareness program itself was helpful for them, because they were facing quite a lot of challenges at home, even before online classes started. And 51% of students said that they were willing to access these services using the telephone. Now, I realized that this had become an ongoing program because in college, as part of our department initiative, as well as others, like for example, the chaplain had a program on meeting the psychosocial needs during the COVID period from the biblical perspective. Now, these programs became even more, I would say, effective, because these were webinars. We didn't have to have our students on campus and meet their needs, and the reach was more. And so that is how we started off. And once we started the telephone counseling services, there were nearly about 100 students, a few faculty who also received help. And I thought it would be good that I could list out some of the issues that they had come in, since I had also been one of the counselors. Now, something that was straight on our face that was so highlighted was that issues that the students brought into us as they started speaking to us over the telephone was issues that were already present in their lives. For example, a child who had conflicts in her family. So it would have been a marital discord that was already present in the family, but the lockdown had brought them together inside the confines of their house for a long period of time, providing no escape. Now, this became a reason why these problems flared up. So family issues were one of those that were very difficult for students, since they became part of the problem now. They had no way of escape. So they were part of the arguments and the fights, the conflicts that were happening between their parents. And sometimes, unfortunately, they had to witness separations during the lockdown, where they, in addition to the academic challenges that they were facing, they had to decide whether they had to stay with the either of their parents. So this was one of the issues that was discussed with us. I would also want to mention here that along with all of these family conflicts was the financial crisis. Now, students were not able to, some of them were unable to access internet connections, which would help them start with their online classes. And that was creating a lot of issues for them. Now, students with low self-esteem had, again, that problem had flared up during the lockdown, because as they would feel inferior or insecure, this was a period where they had more time sitting at home, where they could ponder more about their issue and maybe have fear of future. The uncertainties that came along with COVID increased the problem that they already had. So maybe I could use the word, the term existential crisis that heightened for them during this period. For those who are trying to make plans for their higher studies, they could not set goals at all because everything was uncertain. They could not put in final year students could not put in their applications. So that was another issue. And having classes online with devices that they were already getting very addicted to was a problem that was being discussed. We realized that that was something that they had to, the time management, using their devices for classes and how much of time they use otherwise for social media. Relationship breakups were mentioned, abuse in relationships, but one part that was healthy is that as they talked about it, they also had time to sort it out and grow as an individual. We did have some referrals to psychiatrists that we needed to do for panic attacks, suicidal intent, and self-harm. Now, some of them lost their parents during one or more, both parents during the lockdown due to COVID, and they also called seeking help. Now, at that point, the one thing that we realized was there was no time given to grieve, and because there was financial crisis already existing. So which meant that the students had to go in for part-time work, and so they had to vent out, and this provided a platform for them to vent out. And it was a healthy experience, I would say, that the college had started. We continue to use the blended mode now that they are here on campus. Both the online counseling as well as offline counseling is still being offered, and students and faculty are hugely benefited. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share.
Okay. Thank you, Zarina. Friends, you can put your questions in the question and answer sessions. After the second round of questions, we will take up the questions for discussion. Thank you, Jenny and Zarina, for your sharing your experience. Well, let me also, because we are the gatherings of faculty. Some of them are counselors, campus ministers. So we have a mixed group in front of us. Around 150 participants are here. And they would like to know what are the resources you can suggest to them, or do you have any tips? And there may be some students, they may be very resistant to the counseling, and how do you handle them? And what are the tips you would like to give the faculty, especially, to identify the issues of the students, say the invisible issues? The student behavior is an outward behavior, but there may be some invisible issues within them. So how do you what do you want to suggest to the faculty group to identify the issues of the students and to help the students so that this mental health will not affect their academic performance? So maybe I'll start with Zarina, that what do you want to suggest and what are the tips you want to give to the faculty group?
Yes, sir, sure. Being one of the counselors who had been speaking to students or even to the community at large, I had this initial hesitation because we are so used to having a face-to-face counseling session, and we insist, we give so much of importance to the non-verbals that the person, the client, the student is undergoing, which helps us understand their emotions. Now, with those hesitations, I started off. So I think I would want to start with my experience and how my attitude had to change. I wondered if I needed any more of training in terms of meeting a student online, whether it was a video call or an audio call. But I realized soon as I started that it was just about a little bit of changes that I needed to make, because I was not really seeing her and getting to see what she is going through with her facial expressions or her body language. I just needed to get a little more information through questions, a little very sensitive ones, not too curious, but sensitive questions that would help me understand her mood. So my attitude very quickly changed. I realized I am the same person, and the care that I would was needed to give was the only thing necessary, and the skills would follow. So with that experience, I would like to just, this is a little bit of information for all of us in terms of online counseling. There are several terms that I used: cyber counseling, we have e-counseling, distance counseling. This method of counseling has been used for the past 2 decades, but we haven't really, not all of us, especially me, I would say, have been making use of it. And it has become very prominent during the pandemic. Very accessible, I would say, to everyone, those who wanted help, those in remote places, those who were stuck, we could not see each other, we couldn't come over to a counseling center. Now the client costs also had decreased. Now that became another advantage of online counseling. And now here, at the click of our mouse, I should say, we have access to different specialists, and we could make our choice too. So with all of these benefits, we have different, as Jenny had mentioned, we have synchronous methods in which counseling could be offered, or through an asynchronous method. The live methods, the Skype, the Zoom, video conferencing that we use, or telephone counseling that we use, or emails, the chats, and so on. So it was interesting that, what research had to show in terms of online counseling, since I had my reservations. Therefore, I thought I would also present 1 or 2 research findings. Definitely, research has shown that online sessions are just as effective as traditional face-to-face meetings. And whether it be the level of session understanding for the client, whether their need being fulfilled, or the smoothness, it is all comparable to face-to-face sessions. Cyber counseling and face-to-face counseling is comparable. So we did not hesitate in offering these services. They're equally, and they're even more effective when it comes to a lockdown scenario. There are some clients who are going to find online counseling more beneficial. Those who experience uneasiness, those going through social separation. Now imagine their plight if they are already going through such problems, and then they are inside their homes. It was found that they could create deep connections through online counseling. Those who would like to be anonymous, the ones who are shy, the ones with poor social skills, or those who have going through abuse, where guilt and shame is involved, this online counseling would be the right tool that we could use. We would also need to be careful that we do not use it. It is not suitable for everyone, though I have mentioned to you the benefits. The ones that we need to remember to screen out would be the ones requiring high levels of contact, severe pathology. If these have, for example, schizophrenia or clinical depression and so on, hazardous behaviors, whether it is self-harm, suicidal intent, and so on, or if they have problems in being in touch with reality. So this is what research shows. We need to, as counselors or as teachers who help students go in for online counseling, understand their need and see if it will fit in to their needs, whether their goals will be met and their problems will be resolved. And of course, we need to look at their familiarity in using technology, which I think the students are not going to have a problem at all, and their expressive abilities online. This again, I find as a definite advantage when it comes to students on campus. It is going to suit them well. Because these are clients we're talking about with high levels of inspiration. We just need to give them a little push. And the ones who have excellent reading, communication skills, because if they're going to bring down their problems in writing, now it would be effective rather than just talking face-to-face. With the altered client-counselor relationship, because if I'm looking at my client on a video, or if I'm just getting to listen to the voice, and getting to understand what their problems are, and also the risk that the client is going to face. There were students who pointed out that they are in their home where their parents are very curious to know what is going on, including phone calls that they were making. Now, even with their headphones on, it was difficult for them to share information, if especially if it had to do with their parents. Now, these were some things that I think we need to be sensitive about. So it doesn't really work always. Now, where else would they go during a lockdown to have a call being made? That became a problem. And I would like to begin with teachers. A few tips for teachers now, since we have looked at the benefits of online counseling. Now, you're the first responders, I would say. The point of contact, the first point of contact. I realized that it was not just me as a teacher. There were several others who realized that as classes began and the blended mode started, there were some students who had just disappeared. And there were several reasons for it. And how sensitive are we to what is happening in the lives of our students? In India, our class strength is 50, 60, sometimes 70. I would say it is very difficult for us to have individual personal contact with every student, but just to be mindful, I would say, of those who are absent for a long period of time. And to maybe make that initial contact, I would say, just to reach out, a call. I realized that one of the things we could do is get a friend of this girl to make the call. If you are not, if you find yourself, if it is difficult for you, ask a classmate to initiate the call, find out what is happening. And that is something that has been cited as, that students feel that itself was a very sensitive thing to do, and they reach out to us. So that call that we could make, establish that contact, because they would like to be, there was a teacher who told me recently, the student who did not come to college had now become very scared. She had genuine reasons for not coming because of the problems she was going through at home, but she was now scared that she was missing her exams and she was unable to come for further classes. The contact that the teacher established was enough for her to be reassured that she's not going to be punished or no action would be taken, because these are all imagined. Many things are, they are fearful of what may happen in college. So that reassurance, when given, the student was able to connect back. Now, the rapport building is very important. Yes, as I told you, maybe it is, I'm not going to say to all students, but to the ones whom we realize or identify as having a genuine problem. And then to understand what they are, to just listen to them, to listen maybe for a 15-minute call, and then to take it on in terms of referral that we could make to the counselor on campus, or if we could have counselors to whom we can refer them to even outside. Now, we are fortunate to have a counselor here who continues to take up issues of students. So teachers refer students who have issues. And now that it has become the blended mode, students prefer to use both online counseling as well as face-to-face counseling. So teachers, being the first level of contact, can be the ones who can pull out a student who feels there is no hope now for what has been happening. Now, for the counselors, I think we need to, I bring in myself again in the picture, we need to understand and get well versed with technology. That was the first thing that I needed to take care of, and honestly describe, as we talk to them online, the risks that are involved in online counseling, and respect the dignity and worth. We may not be looking at the child, her face, but she's still a human being, and how sensitively we connect with them. And ensuring privacy, confidentiality, all these go in online counseling too. Helping them make informed choices so that they can move, not just in terms of solving their present issues, but as Jenny has pointed out, even to look at prevention. Because this is a team. Now we find that as students approach us and we equip them with skills, they move on to become a peer team who would help others, because that the reach then would be really high. And to have an online platform therapist, if the counselor who is working from outside can have a platform, a website if necessary, to give information about herself. That would also be useful for those who are looking for counseling services. Of course, there are certain difficulties that we found that was like, for example, a relaxation technique that I was trying to teach a student, not going to be very effective, as effective, I would say, as a face-to-face session, or inner child healing, which would need a face-to-face session. I found that a little difficult. Now, as a college, I think Jenny had given all of those. They have really taken all those steps. Increased visibility of counselors, I would say, is very important. Like the awareness programs we had conducted, it was very distinct. Right after a program, the number of calls being made would be high and then gradually go down. So we need to have that contact made, because students need to know that we care. We are continuing to offer such services. What are those services? Because there are times when they actually open up to the fact that, yes, I do need help. And then to have support groups in colleges, because teachers may reach out to one or two, a few, but students are going to be the ones who would be the peer team, and how we can train them to be mentors. Now, one of the things that we do at the Department of Psychology is we have a certificate course offered in Christian counseling, in biblical counseling, where basic counseling skills are being taught. So when teachers and students are being trained in these skills, they move on to become mentors. So these are some of the tips I would give. There are apps today available, online apps for counseling. Students, the younger generation seems to be using them quite a lot, but while using them, I would give a little bit, ask them to be a bit careful, because some of them are very costly, and some would only help in terms of maybe meditation techniques or methods to sleep and so on. So it would help to be in touch with a counselor rather than having an AI-powered chatbot, for example. We have one called Visa, I hear, and rather than that, it would be helpful to meet with a person and receive help. So thank you so much again for the opportunity. Now I give it to Jenny.
Yeah, over to Jenny.
Hi. I think, Serena, thank you very much. I think you had covered most of the topics that I would want to say. But anyway, I would like to share that we also have a very successful peer counselor program where we recruited a group of students that they can not just to help us on making videos and help the university, but through this learning process, they learn themselves. And when in the future, we started to engage them, and they started to know us early in their university life, so that when crisis comes, okay, they are the first person who knows how to handle it. So I think this is a very good program that I'm very proud of. And I have a couple of practical tips, I would say. The first one is safety come first. When I say safety, it's not just personal safety, because we are doing it online, offline, virtual type of sessions. So we, in Ningnan University, we only conduct these sessions under our Zoom platform, which require authentication and verification of students' identity before entering these one-to-one sessions. Our counselors do not text or use messagings and email application that is not compliant with our university's information security policy. So if really under special circumstances, our student, if they're not in Hong Kong, they cannot get hold to the Zoom, cannot log in, our counselor can actually do exceptional texting or other social media means to conduct this session with them. But we have to inform the student the risk of unauthorized disclosures and get the student consents before we do that. And another tips I would like to share is, actually I normally tell my staff to take care of themselves first, okay? Self-care is very important. You have to take care of yourself before you take care of the others. So if my counselors is arranging some sessions online, offline, or whatever, I make sure they have enough time spent in between so that they can replenish the body and replenish the mind before go on to give student the appropriate needs and counseling needs. Maintain regular exercise, for the staff themselves, and then stay connected with colleagues by sharing difficulties and challenges, and try to brainstorm ideas for mutual support as well. And I think for my side, that's about I want to share. I would like to introduce Dr. Gloria Wong. Maybe Gloria can, have some sharing on most technical side and the professional side. Gloria?
Right. Thank you, everyone, and Jenny. Hello. Yeah. So I agree with what Serena said before. Actually, we work closely with the academic department. We have an alert system, which if a student are missing classes for a number of classes, then the teacher will send the counselor an alert, so that we will follow up with the student to see how are things going and do they need any support. So I think it is important to work with various stakeholders. And also we have the peer counselors like Jenny mentioned. And also we work closely with the warden's office and hostel team to see if there are any abnormality happening in the hostel, so that we can reach out to the student as early as possible. And I also see that there is a question asking how to handle students who are resistant to undergo counseling. It happens a lot, actually. And it's quite difficult for us as a counselor to reach out to them because they resist us. They even don't want to hear about a counseling service because they think that, oh, I have no problem. I don't need this kind of service. And that is why it is important for us to work in different layers. And the first layers is to promote wellness, not counseling, promote wellness via our psychoeducational activities, various wellness program, physical and psychological, so that we can expose ourselves more, and also to help them to enhance their awareness about their well-being. And in some situation, we are able to reach out to these students because they like to participate in our activities. And then secondly, we work with the ambassador, the peer counselors, because they are their peer. And some of the students, they would rather share among their peer than a counselor. But for some students, they would identify some issues among their peers, and they will try to refer the student to the counseling center. So we also have a referral system, which is our internal system. And the hostel staff, they can refer a student whom they think might have some issues, and we work together to help the student to eventually move the student to our counseling service. So there are different strategies. We hope that we can expand our service to help those students who really in need, or those who might not in serious distress, but that we do want to enhance their well-being. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny and Gloria. There are several questions in the question and answer that we may not have time to take all the questions, but I would like to take some of the questions at least, and some of the questions are asked by several people. Let me start with some of the questions which are directly asked to Jenny and Gloria. Do you have any strategies to address the needs of international faculty and students? Say this campuses which have international faculty and students, they may have a different challenge. So do you have any strategies for that? That's the first question which is addressed to both of you. Any of you
Yes.
can answer, yeah.
Yeah, I think we do have international students. We do have exchange students and faculties. We have like most of the university, we have an international office. We also work very closely with them because I think some students, if they're exchange student, they rather want to talk to our colleagues from the international office rather than us locally. But anyway, we work closely with them, and then we offer also the same type of counseling support to them. So even exchange students when they are from overseas in Hong Kong, or even our students, if they're in exchange to another country, we also follow up with them on their counseling needs as well. I think Gloria can supplement me with that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, based on my experience, apart from the international student office, I work very closely with my colleague who takes care of the international student. My colleague works under the non-local students, so I work very closely with her. And if there is any issues or if she spot any psychological distress of international student, she would invite the student to talk to us, and then we will follow up with the student. So there are many different aspects international students may face apart from psychological distress. So we are working holistically, working multidisciplinary to address their needs from different areas. Thank you.
Yeah, I think basically I want to top up as well. Most of our students, Ningnan is a very small campus, Spurgeon, if you have been to our campus, you know, most of our students live on campus, and we have 10 block of hostel, and then this international student, if they are here on campus, each hostel has their own warden's office, also provide their warden, senior tutors and tutors as well that provide pastoral care. And then our counseling team also work very closely with this group of professionals, wardens, and then provide care to the students.
Okay, thank you. Next question to both of you again, that how do you offer the wellness buffet? Do you have a website where the students can access? Then the related question is, can you explain hotspot program at Lingnan a little more, and how effective that program is? Hotspot program and the wellness buffet.
Okay, I'm not sure if I can share my screen. I tried.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Okay, and actually I prepared a PowerPoint presentation, everyone. Can you see that? Right. So our wellness hotspot, actually it is online, a place on our own website called the wellness hotspot. Inside, we actually put the academy here. Okay, and then when student inside the academy, there are a lot of training and workshops and classes. And the buffet is actually a series of like video, podcasting, resources, and article messages. So there's a student, if they can actually pick on the interested informations and articles from the buffet, and then the activities as well. So sharing of some of the photo that we had, like we had some singing, Cheer for You program, peer counseling program, dream catcher workshops, online rowing program because the student cannot come, but our sport team actually, they need to practice as well. So they do rowing program at home and online yoga as well. And then this is the wellness buffet. So this kind of sharing of information, not necessarily every single information or program is delivered or developed by ourselves. Okay, our counselors and our colleagues or our peer counselor will source for some local community ready informations and then we post up to it. So hopefully they can help our students during the pandemic to go through the difficult time. And then our students also serve the nearby elderly home as well after they learn some skill. Gloria also mentioned that we try not to put counseling as a really kind of as a sickness. We want to bundle it with the word wellness. Okay, we engage wellness ambassador to serve the community as well. So by offering this type of program, hopefully the student both physically and mentally will, well-being will be taken care of. So within the year of 2020, we offer over 50 of wellness program, and more than 5,000 headcount students actually participated in our wellness hotspot. So I hope I answered some of the question.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'm willing to share the PowerPoint with everyone if they're interested.
Yeah, I think we'll send it to all of you. We'll share the PowerPoint which Jenny has to all the registered participants.
Thank you.
So that you will also have those resources. Thank you so much, Jenny and Gloria. Let me go to now Zarina for two questions, then come back to you later. The first question to Zarina, that that the need is increasing, the counseling need, which we see now. There are many students coming forward, and there are many students those who are in need of counseling. Do you, apart from the faculty, do you feel that or do you have any ratio, ideal ratio of student counselor ratio? So how many counselors you need to have for how many number of students in a campus? Because many students in Indian context, institutions may not have a full-time counselor. So what is your opinion, or what do you consider as an ideal ratio to address this issue?
Okay. I'm glad this was a question that has been put forward, thought of, because the need is so huge, but we still have, we see in reality, there will be one student counselor still being appointed. So ideally, if we did have, we could afford the affordability and all of that, I would say that since the for a counselor to meet with a student, it's going to take about 1 or 2 hours, and that is going to be draining for her. And we find that it can be about 3 or 4 in a day. So I would look at it as for 1,000. I do not know. I am just coming up with this. An effective ratio would be at least 4 or 5 should be there. Okay, I'm bringing down the number, keeping in mind that we see only a part-time counselor in some colleges, universities, or the fact that there is only one existing counselor if there was a team of 4 or 5. Now, if it is not possible for the college to appoint so many counselors, then it helps, as we do at college, to bring in faculty from the Department of Psychology. We are also trained to be counselors. So when there are many more students who need help, we pitch in. And that is how we have our center, the Vikas Student Counseling Center, as well as Nalam. So there is, and then now we find that alumni are coming in to help us. And they come over to campus. So now that has made the availability, the need has been met, I would say. So if not appointing, we could have a team of about 5 counselors by having people coming from outside, consultants, if I can say. Yes.
Okay, the next question, that sometimes we identify students and suggest them meeting psychiatrists. Do you inform the parents? And sometimes there are issues like parents should be informed when we try to help the student. If the student doesn't prefer informing the parents, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so I would say ethically, it would we call it as a dilemma, ethical dilemma, where there are 2 ethical issues coming in here. One is I need to be confidential, but then the consent of the parent is required. And now, being part of a college, now when parental consent is required for all other activities that a student is undergoing, yes, we will have to inform the parent. Now, the student who is now in touch with the counselor will now have to be also given this information in a way she will understand. They are going to resist. Now, that is one of the things that you find resistance Jenny and her team, they talked about it. Now, when they are resistant, we talk to them, encourage them, because the need to meet the psychiatrist is real. And for that, the next step to take is for us to meet with parents. And to make it easier, maybe we can tell them that we would talk to them rather than the student put it across. Okay. And have a meeting, arrange a meeting with the parents, and then take it to the next level. I think that is something that I would consider doing. I will have to inform parents being part of the institution.
Gloria, you want to share your experience as well? I think we also face all this problem as well.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, it's a really,
yes, Gloria.
really difficult situation. Yeah. If it is really serious, meaning that if that it's suicidal issues or self-harming issues, or we really have to inform their family, because we have the duty of care to the student, particularly for those students for those international students whose family is abroad. So it's a bit tricky indeed. And so if we identify any risk, then we will have to inform their parents. And in the same time, we will have to tell the student that we are telling their parents because of this and that. And it might take a bit time for us to build a trust, but given that the student should know that she is in a risky situation. So in our experience, it won't break the relationship, because the student in some way know that we try to help them. And when we are communicating this with the parents, we also have to be very skillful, just disclosing as little information as possible. All the personal issues or the deeper layer of issues, we don't disclose those, but just the behavior or the issues that the parents really need to address. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but if that is involving the life and death issues, we have to tell the parents and engage them, actually engage the parents, the family to help with the issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Due to the shortage of time, that I'll close with the final question. And there are some suggestions that are also in the question and answer, which we will consider for the next session. And we will have an evaluation form shortly in the chat box. Kindly fill the evaluation form. We'll consider your suggestions for the next session. The final question, any one of you can answer. Do gender and language play roles in online counseling? Any of you? Maybe you can, Zarina, you can start, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, gender and language, sir?
Yeah, language. Yeah. Gender and language, yeah.
Definitely. This is going to play a role in offline counseling, face-to-face. Now, more when it comes to, I would say, online counseling. Now, we also should keep in mind the culture that we are part of. So, depending on the gender, so if it is of the opposite gender and the person is coming in for counseling, how comfortable they are. Now, today, students are aware of information that is available, and so they may pick, they may choose. So we talk about this fit, the counselor-client fit. So they are making their choices, and so it would help for us as counselors to check with them initially. Would they be comfortable to talk to us now that they have made that initial contact? And would you like to go ahead with me or with another person? So it helps always to check. We could have a hunch, but voice it across and check with them. Language plays a role, definitely, because now we are looking at all the difficulties that we're facing, online technology-based difficulties. Even if it is a video call, we're not able to get their body language as much as we would get it offline. So language skills would be important, I would say, for the counselor and also for the client. And this match, this fit should also be taken into consideration before we start counseling the client.
Jenny, you have anything to share?
Yeah, I think language. I totally agree. Because in Hong Kong, even in Hong Kong, we speak both Cantonese and also Mandarin. So our counselor has to know the Mandarin, spoken language of Mandarin and Cantonese, and also English as well. So the three main languages, I would say. And then gender, I'm not sure. Maybe Gloria can share a little bit about this, because I don't feel that it is as important in Hong Kong.
Yeah, well, gender is less of an issue, except those students who have a traumatic experience with the opposite sex,
Right.
or the same sex. Yeah, if that is the case, that we will be careful in doing the matching.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, all the participants. Your feedback is very, very important to us. So kindly fill the feedback form. That will help us to develop other programs, other sessions in the future. Kindly do the evaluation form. So let me thank the panelists. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Zarina. Thank you, Gloria Wong. Thank you so much, Jenny. You are so kind that when Nelly is not able to participate, you are kind enough to bring Gloria Wong also for this panel. Thank you so much for the last minute arrangement.